Okay, so for physics, I started off really bad, and I'm still kind of bad, but then at least there was a little improvement. But I hope I can share with you some of the small study improvements that I made during my physics journey. So the first thing is lessons go by pretty fast. Before you move on and think to yourself, oh, I'll try to understand this in the future, let me reiterate. Come study time, you have a ton of stuff that you don't understand. It's near impossible. So the main thing that I would advise you is go on board of studies, find someone's amazing notes. I will link down the one that I referenced because this person's notes gave me life. It was so good. And I basically read through those. They were super clear, and I tried to make my notes more clear. So let's say I reread them in the future, I would understand exactly what I'm saying. I did not need any prerequisite knowledge to understand these physics notes that I have. And then after that, all you have to do is a ton of practice problems. And the way I kind of went about this during study time was I printed out all my notes just as I did for legal, and I gave myself, let's say, I need to handwrite 5 pages each day. And this is a lot easier for physics, which is a comparatively less content-heavy subject. And I would handwrite 5 pages a day, and when I handwrite, after I finished handwriting, I would say them out loud, try to see how much I recall. Then, after I finished each inquiry question, so I structured my notes per inquiry question, which was really helpful, and I did that later on. I did not start off doing that. I found out that was really helpful later on, about middle of my HSC year. I would, after finishing each inquiry question, I would do the HSC practice problems on each inquiry question. And this actually helped me stay engaged and focused during my physics study time because practice problems, you're actually doing something, you're actually thinking, and it's actually a lot more interesting and engaging rather than just handwriting pages and pages and notes. And it helps to know how you actually apply that knowledge to the exam. And I will link down below, but there's a really helpful Google Drive folder somebody made of basically HSC physics questions sorted by new syllabus inquiry questions. And I basically completed those until I finished the entire syllabus. And my main advice, as with everything, is to start early. And however, physics does go by a lot faster than some other subjects, I would say. And that was basically how I improved in physics. And one of the main things, as for everything really, is to ask questions when you don't know. There are a lot of physics principles that are hard to understand initially, and it's really important that you ask questions and engage with your teacher or your peers, having this really good support group to answer your questions and also help answer their questions, because it will help your understanding and it'll help theirs. So what's there to lose? What I did when I was tired was actually practice papers. So you don't have to do it timed or a full one, but then when I was really tired, I would just do a practice paper, because my logic was, if I can get a decent mark in this practice paper, even when my brain is literally dead, then when it's alive, it should be better, right? For economics. So economics was one of my big flashcard subjects, and it was actually one of the subjects where I used flashcards pretty much from the start to the end of my high school. So I never used any of my other methods for it. One of the main things with economics is it's so focused on current affairs, and well, especially doing it during like a coronavirus time, things were constantly changing, and you needed to be on top of your stats and on top of your news. So one of the main things, especially when you're starting out in the HSC economics course, is to really engage with what is happening in the world right now, because they are so relevant to include in your essays, but also to know as kind of background knowledge to the stuff you're actually learning in high school economics. And the other thing was, I found HSC economics multiple choice to be really fun to do, and maybe that's just me and I'm odd, but in my free time, I would just do HSC Economics multiple choice because it was kind of the right kind of challenging, and some of this some of the stuff you can do without really using your brain, some you did, but it was a good way to pass time. And the other thing was, in economics, I weirdly never actually did a practice essay. Rather, I did practice essay plans, and I found them way more helpful than actually writing out the essay, because I found that basically in economics, as long as you know your content, it's pretty hard to mess up the essay. I guess you can talk about structure, but to be honest, a lot of the top of the state people have kind of a iffy structure for essays. Rather, they just spew out all of their relevant knowledge. And like, I personally not a stickler for structure, but having an essay plan does help to organize your thoughts, and it's your choice whether you choose to do it in the exam or not. And I don't do a full-on essay plan, but whenever I see the essay question in front of me in this exam, I would just do little mind map kind of arrows to what it's really relevant to, and I found that super helpful. And for short answer, it's really important to just remember to get straight to the point, because you don't want any waffle. There are a certain number of lines. You really just want to give them your answer straight away and let them tick that box. For math, I am 100% not a math whiz, so take my advice with a grain of salt. But it's just very conventional advice. I would say, for me, one of the main things that I wish I improved on, and I improved on, but I feel like I improved on too late, was that I did too much textbook work. So at the start, it was really helpful to, especially for your first exam, to do a lot of chapter reviews to familiarize and review your knowledge, and that helped me with getting marks. But then as you progress down the year, you find yourself doing the same reviews over and over again, and although you don't exactly remember the answer or how you did it, it's really easy to fall into the same mistakes and not actually think about what you're doing and improve. So close to HSC time, what I did instead was just a ton of practice papers. And I know not everybody can access them as easily. And luckily, Board of Studies has a ton of resources people have uploaded, and I'll try to find whatever I can. But if you do have access to a lot of practice papers, I suggest you basically go into them straight away. So you can combine them with textbook work, but I always thought to myself, oh, I don't want to just do it and get like 60 and not really properly revise everything. But honestly, it's good to just go straight for it and do a ton of practice papers. And then instead from that, identify your weaknesses and then use your textbook to work on those areas instead. I mentioned them quite a bit already in this video, but I would love to give just a giant shout out to Board of Studies, because it seriously helped me so much during my HSC time. It's so good to be part of such a lovely community where everybody's posting resources and helping each other out. As a whole, all of the people that I have encountered in Board of Studies have nothing but angels, and I would like to just give a large thank you for all of the support, and I wish everybody completing their HSC in the future good luck for your future endeavors.